few weeks ago, Marshall and I decided to predict what our Spotify Wraps were going to be. The winner, who is going to accurately predict more artists, was going to choose a piece of media for the loser to review. Now we're going to go and compare our predictions to our actual Spotify Wraps and see who was more accurate in their predictions. Let's start off with you, Marsh.
All right, so my number 5 was Linkin Park in the predictions. This was wrong. My number 5 on my Spotify Wrapped was actually Maroon 5,
She will
which I found kind of
be
wild.
loved. Wow, I
'Cause
didn't
I
know
didn't
you
think I
were an
listened to
Adam.
him that much.
I didn't know you were an Adam Levine stan, Marsh. I didn't know you were a fan. You going with those soccer moms?
My number 4 was Nickelback, and that was wrong. My number 4 was Lady Gaga.
That's pretty good though. The fact that she was in your top 5, really good artist.
My number 3 was Lady Gaga, and my number 3 actually was Linkin Park, so at least it was still in the top 5.
Okay, respectable. I'm glad Chester stayed on the list.
And my number 2 prediction was Kanye. That was wrong. That was Nickelback.
It's Nickelback. I thought Nickelback was out.
And my number 1 prediction was Eminem, and my actual number 1 was Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Wow. So your top 2 weren't even in it. That's crazy.
Yeah, which I found wild.
Red Hot
Because
Chili
you want to know
Peppers.
something that's crazy, Lucas?
What's up?
My 4 and 5 for songs are both Eminem songs.
Damn. I mean, I guess Red Hot Chili Peppers makes sense. Our whole friend group listens to them, and we went to that concert last year, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and you want to know something wild about that too? Not a single Red Hot Chili Peppers song is in my top 5. Which makes no sense to me.
It's the reverse. It's probably padded out like 50 through 100.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
funny. Well, my top 5 artists, my number 5 prediction was going to be Paramore. My number 5 is Paramore. My number 4 prediction was going to be The Police. My number 4, I got it wrong. It's Foo Fighters. Completely forgot about Foo Fighters. I feel like I just mentally checked out of the Foo Fighters train after Dave Grohl got caught cheating on his wife. Number 3, Duran Duran. I actually got that right. It was Duran Duran. Number 2, Green Day. I got that right. It was Green Day. And number 1, Fall Out Boy. Got that right. It was Fall Out Boy. I was losing my mind by the fact that I was able to predict that Paramore was going to be 5. And that
that's wild.
That's so gross that I like managed to get that accurate. Like I'm like, it's not high enough to be 4, but it's definitely high enough to be 5. And all my top songs were, no surprise, Fall Out Boy. They were the band I listened to the most. So, what did you review, Marsh? What did I have you listen to?
So the original piece of media that he had sent me was a remix of the We Bring the Boom song, but Christmas edition, Jingle Boom, and God was it fucking terrible. Honestly, I did enjoy this a lot more than the Hawk Tua podcast episode I had to review, but
Shorter.
like, this was just the media level of brain rot, and I was just like, oh God. Rizzler did have a crazy verse on it though, won't lie. Shout out Rizzler.
Shout out Rizzler.
He's actually from PA. I don't know if you knew that or not.
He's from PA? Where are they from?
Yeah. Dude, I don't know where he's from exactly, but I know he's from PA because he's been to Knoebels multiple times.
Oh yeah. I did hear about that. I forgot about that. Wow. That's beautiful.
But overall, Jingle Boom, I give it 4 out of 5 booms, and that's all really I can say on it.
4 big booms!
Shout out to the Chicken Bake. Alright, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Real Chris. Today, we are reviewing a hit Quentin Tarantino film called Reservoir Dogs. Lucas, take it away.
This movie did so much for me creatively because I was really sick when I was watching it, and it was really a struggle to just write this semester. So watching something like this, I mean, I like Tarantino, but I'm not the biggest Tarantino fan. Like, you won't see me going out there saying Pulp Fiction is the greatest movie of all time. Watching this and seeing the effect it's had on my work ethic is just tremendous because it's a very well written movie. It reminds me a lot of the great plays that you see in theater, and I just feel like it takes advantage of the film media enough to really justify it existing in the film medium.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The thing I really like with this film is, compared to your standard Tarantino film where it's 3.5 hours long, this movie was like, I don't even think it cracked the 2 hour mark.
No,
And I was
yeah.
really happy that this movie wasn't just like getting dragged along. Not that every Quentin Tarantino movie that does that, but there definitely are a few out there that have hit that stipulation before.
Yeah, it doesn't overstate its welcome. It opens us with a classic Tarantino scene where it's just people talking, just rambling, a group of guys, very realistic dialogue. You have these characters talking back and forth about Madonna's like a virgin in a very graphic
Yeah.
sense. I'll let. And of course, Tarantino himself's talking about it, because why wouldn't he be? Of course, he's playing a character, like the cruelest one. But
Yeah, what else is new?
we get introduced to this ensemble of characters, and I'm expecting this to just be a heist movie. We see all these characters working together to rob a jewelry store. No, that never happens. We see the fallout of it. Things go horribly wrong, and it becomes a classic whodunit in terms of which one of these people is a rat, which one set up the scene, because it's made abundantly clear, just based off Mr. Pink, Steve Buscemi's character, based off Mr. Pink's perception, that the cops were ready to ambush the crew of men who don't really have names. They kind of have aliases. They were pretty much set up.
Yeah, absolutely. The fucking plot twist of fucking Mr. Orange being the dude to be the cop. He was like, to be honest with you, I was kind of agree with Mr. White that like, there's no way that he was the cop considering he ate a fucking bullet. But
That's
then
true.
after they showed it towards the end of the movie, how he actually got shot, I thought that was insane on like how like that actually happened. Because for the entire time until they showed that scene, I thought he got shot by another police officer, not some random woman that shot him in the stomach for stealing her car.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's a very effective twist because it's a lot like 12 Angry Men. We're trying to figure out whose perception is right.
Yeah, exactly.
I felt like that was really properly built up because you really established the strong emotional connection between Mr. White and Mr. Orange. Mr. White is sort of his elder guardian, sort of like a older brother figure to Mr. Orange, or at least the persona that Mr. Orange is taking on as an undercover cop to bust this operation. And seeing, I feel like the intention of showing these two at Mr. Orange's most vulnerable in the car. It's not only brilliantly acted in terms of being very uncomfortable, but it's also, it pretty much sets up the foundation for the conflict between White and Pink, whether or not Orange is guilty.
You want to know something I would have liked to see out of this movie? Now that I'm thinking about this, I would have liked to see what happened to Mr. Pink, like after he left the like warehouse place that they were. Because like I mean, we did kind of get left on an open-ended question. I get that he got away, but like, where did he go to post that?
I don't know. I feel like.
That's one thing that I always complained with early Quentin Tarantino films is that there was always an open-ended question towards the end of his movies.
I love that, frankly. We'll go into the ending a bit more later down the line. I want to talk a bit about Mr. Yellow and just how depraved this guy is.
Dude, insane. Insane the amount of torture methods that this dude has come up. Like he cut a dude's ear off, slashed his forehead, and literally until he got a 6, 7 bullets in the chest, fucking he was ready to burn a cop alive and burn down the entire warehouse.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Because
he's
that much gasoline, that is fucking gonna do some damage to even a brick building.
it's not only terrifying, but he's so nonchalant about it. He's so clearly a psychopath with the establishing of him playing that pop music, that 70s station, just to tune out the screams of suffering. It's kind of like in Come and See when the Nazis decide to play some old German music while they're massacring everyone.
Yeah, it is crazy. And the other thing that I've noticed with this film that I'm glad Quentin Tarantino picked up on in later projects that he made, more specifically Django Unchained, he actually paid attention to how many bullets are in a weapon, which
Mmm,
is something that I really enjoyed,
that's good.
something I didn't enjoy with this movie. Because if you saw a couple of the different shootout scenes, they have pistols. Pistols have no more than usually 15 round magazines in them. And they were shooting. Mr. White, I watched him dump 30 bullets out of two different pistols. So that's a combined 60 bullets out of two pistols. That's unrealistic to me.
Yeah, they definitely evolved in that case. I was reading that it was too expensive to actually show off the jewelry scene, but I feel like that limitation made it stronger because it's the ambiguousness of whose perspective is right, who do we actually believe, and then the ability to break up the perspectives based off different acts. The first act talks about Mr. White, the second act talks about Mr. Yellow, and the third act talks about Mr. Orange. It makes the audience feels like it makes the audience feel like they are participating actively in this, and that it's more than just a movie. I could very well see this being a video game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There are some movies that do have like take some inspirations from this. There's a movie or there's a video game trilogy called the Mafia franchise. It kind of delves into this kind of aspect of like setting up a heist and robbing it and then having an undercover guy. Like there's like the first movie or the first game really helps capture like that kind of like what's the word I'm looking here for? Ambiguous nature of like that kind of stuff, especially like post the heist already happening and just everything going terribly as it usually would.
And I think that's just the strength of the writing in this film, the strength of the characters, because not only um not there's just a very limited setting in this movie. There's only like three locations if you think about it. There's the warehouse, there's outside the warehouse, and then there's at the restaurant in the opening scene. But we're engaged the whole time just because the performances are dynamic, the conflict is rich, and the personalities are so slimy, so distrustworthy that we don't know who's right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think this movie really did like, except the few scenes where it actually showed who was right and who was wrong on their hunches. Because Mr. Pink did not detect for a single second that Mr. Orange was the police officer the entire time.
Yeah. It helps to write smart characters, certainly. Each of these characters are very intelligent in their own ways. I also want to talk briefly about the perspective because not only did we see that sort of change in perspective with Mr. Orange, I feel like the decision, it's very simple, but the decision to have Mr. Yellow act so calm, cool, and collected when everyone else is in the room, and then to see his true side when they all leave, it's fantastic. It's so simple, but you can apply that to any storytelling. Perspective and dramatic irony is everything. The audience knowing stuff that the characters don't know. It's just a very this is a very strong example of that.
Yeah, yeah, there are two sides to every coin, as the iconic phrase goes. Personally, out of this bunch of people, who do you think was your favorite character?
My favorite character, ooh, I mean, Mr. Pink was great because I'm a fan of Steve Buscemi and his work, so it's easier to
Yeah,
really
yeah,
sort of resonate with him.
he's a pretty iconic actor.
I like the scene where Mr. Brown got shot in the head and he just gets into a car with like a bullet wound over his forehead. He's like, the car's not starting. I don't know what's. Mr. Brown is a highlight for sure because he's just kind of a
Oh, yo,
piece of trash.
did you notice what Mr. Orange did in that scene?
What did he do? I did not notice it.
So Mr. Brown was still somewhat conscious at that point, and to make sure that like they had to go get a car in a different mean, as Mr. White was having the shootout with the two police officers in the car, Mr. Orange puts another bullet into the skull of Mr. Brown.
Oh, it's been like a week since I saw this movie, so I don't remember that detail. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I picked up on that when I was watching the scene. I even went back and watched it again just to
Whoa,
make sure.
cool detail. I love that. I think Orange is definitely my favorite because he is obviously the most layered out of all the characters because he's putting on a completely different persona. So seeing him assimilate into the scene, practice his monologues of the fake police story, and then we actually see the story instead of just hearing a lengthy monologue, which kind of is different from the rest of this film where it's mostly just dialogue. I thought that was really cool. I thought the acting with him was great, and obviously the emotional connection he has with Mr. White. The fact that he feels such guilt at the end to tell White the truth, only to get his brains blowed out by White in the end. It's that ending. That ending is so good. I love that ending so much.
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone,
that ending was very fucking. It just like all came together in the end.
Joe being smart enough to like sniff out Orange, it's perfect. We love smart characters.
Well, yeah, exactly. He's been in the business for how damn long? Fucking, he's gonna get his hunch before anyone else does.
I want to give a
Personally, if I, what was that? Good.
Oh, I just wanted to give a shout out to Nice Guy Eddie. I feel like his involvement in the film, the context he has as Yellow's friend, really strengthens the accusations that the antagonists have against Mr. Orange's bluff during the third act. And I just love it. I love the personal connections between some of these guys. So simple, but so effective.
Yeah, this is a very well written movie. This is probably out of the Quentin Tarantino movies that I have seen. This is definitely a top three project out of him, in my opinion. Obviously behind Django Unchained and Inglorious Bastards, but that's like his 1A and his 1B right there.
What else have you seen from him?
I've seen both the Kill Bill movies.
Really?
I've seen the Hateful Eight. And what was? Oh yeah, and we watched. The hell was that
Pulp
movie?
Fiction?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Oh yeah, and
Oh,
we did watch Pulp Fiction too. Yeah, that's right.
wow. You're like a stan.
Yeah, yeah. The only I haven't seen just like some like his lesser known projects. Like pretty much all his staple movies I've seen.
Got it. I know you're also a big Nolan fan. Did you hear about the Odyssey at all?
No, I did not hear about the Odyssey at all. What's that
Chris
about?
Christopher Nolan's new movie, which he's been, casting for a hot second, just got announced. It's going to be an adaptation of Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey. And the stars, it's supposed to have a very stacked cast. I'm looking at the cast now. It's looking like we're
Every
going.
Nolan movie always has a stacked cast.
I know, and the momentum just keeps getting better with each release. It's supposed to have Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, Lupita Nyong'o, and Charlize Theron.
Damn, alright, yeah, okay. I swear, Anne Hathaway is in every single fucking Nolan project.
No, yeah.
And like the last, like Dunkirk and what was the whatever other war movie he made? Those were like the only two projects in the last like 10 to 15 years she hasn't been in.
It's like Willem Dafoe and Yorgos Lanthimos. It's so funny. Every
Yeah, yeah,
every actor has their favorite
hmm?
director.
Yeah. You're so right. You're so right.
I'm definitely excited for that. I feel like Nolan is a filmmaker that I'm definitely drawn to. I just love his ability to have quick scenes that just layer on top of each other. They're so quick, they're like 30 seconds long, but each scene has like a profound moment of a emotional shift or a piece of information being revealed. Kind of contrary to what this movie is, which is very like spaced out.
Yeah. Some scenes felt a little bit all over the place, but like once they got answered later down the line, like I mean that's just what Quentin Tarantino does. Like he'll tell a story from like he'll tell you the last 5 minutes first, and then he'll fill you in of it as you go.
Yeah. I can't say I've watched too many Tarantino films. I feel like this is the third one I've seen, at least in its entirety, because I've watched some but never finished them. I've seen Pulp Fiction and Inglorious Bastards. This is number three. This one might be my favorite of those three. I mean, Inglorious Bastards is very well made, but that one's a bit of a chore to go through. This one's like an easier thing to digest. How much
It's
work?
just crazy to me. Yeah, it's just crazy to me how much work can go into a single project. From obviously, I know he probably has a ton of writers on top of just him, but the way that he can just capture a moment into one scene or a few different scenes and it just to sell his point across entirely. I don't know. He just seems like a very talented writer, and he's also not a bad actor considering he cast himself in literally probably I think every movie that he's ever made, he's at least had a cameo, kind of like Stan Lee in a sense.
Yeah, he's like a better Shyamalan.
Yeah, there you go.
Have you seen
So,
Trap? Did
Lucas,
you hear about that movie?
Trap. That was the movie with the serial killer stuck in the like concert, right?
Like the Taylor Swift Eras parody. Oh, it's so bad. I watched that over Thanksgiving
Yeah.
break. One of
No,
the oh.
Lucas, I watched like 95% of the movie on TikTok, and I just didn't understand. I'm
Nah.
like, what's the point of this?
Oh,
Who is this for?
it's for his daughter's career because his real life daughter plays the pop star.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. What matters is she people got paid. At the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah, that is all that matters. So, Lucas, if we had to put this film up to a rating, where's it going?
I'm feeling 4.5 stars on this one. It was very seamless.
Four and a half stars? All right, I can
Yeah,
respect that.
I knew that it was going to be high just based off the whole experience because it really is a less is more. it's the type of film that I want to see. Just shifty, smart people manipulating other shifty, smart people, and there's obviously stakes involved. Mr. Orange's life, so amplified by the good performances, the strong direction. I felt that this film was very entertaining, and I definitely want to revisit it soon. The thing that really got me to stick around was the third act once Yellow gets shot by Mr. Orange, and we learn that even though he's dying, he's still conscious, and we learn of the extra layer of secrecy in this whole affair. Yeah, I mean, it's just a classic story of shifty people manipulating other people. I love this film.
Yeah, this movie was a absolute banger, as I will put it. Personally, where I'm rating this film, I'm gonna have to go with you, and it's going at 4.5. It can do maybe like a few tiny things better, but I feel like I'm nitpicking at that point.
Awesome. So, as we have the list currently, we have Akiru, The Apartment, Singing in the Rain, Doctor Strangelove, Return of the Jedi, Princess Mononoke, Lawrence of Arabia, Toy Story 3, and Come and See. Where are we putting this film?
Hmm, that's a good damn question. I mean, personally, out of the movies we've reviewed so far, I would argue that this could be one. I could so argue this fact that it could be one. It's just more or less, what do you think?
I am sort of, I don't know, I'm sort of debating it because I feel like Come and
Because
See.
I feel like this at least deserves top three,
Oh, yeah,
in my
yeah,
opinion.
absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a question for me if it's better or not than Come and See because I feel like it's better than all the other movies we've watched, but I feel like Come and See has higher highs than Reservoir Dogs, even though Reservoir Dogs is more appealing to watch. This is something I want to see again, even though Come and See is very well made. I really don't want to watch that movie again for obvious reasons,
Yeah, yeah, especially when you're eating pork chops.
especially when I'm eating pork chops. Never watch that movie while having lunch. Never watch that movie while having lunch. How does this compare to Come and See?
Hmm.
Can you even compare it to Come and See? Because it's such a different movie.
Like as far as like the see, that's a good question. That's a good damn question. Because the thing is, Come and See is like obviously the war perspective, but it's like told through a kid. So like that things never really gets like shown. Or like I feel like this movie could exist in multiple different like limelights. You know what I mean?
Mmm. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing for like where we would put Reservoir Dogs compared to Come and See.
Okay.
I'll give you the compromise. We can put it under Come and See for now.
I think we should put it under Come and See, and we'll just have to, come and see what happens. Zing! Um,
Exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
fucking. Oh my god. All right, Bazinga, fucking Sheldon, dude. Jesus
Bazinga!
Christ.
Yeah, my friend, we were having a party, and my one friend said to my roommate, "Is your name Derek?" And he said, "My name's Ty." And then my friend said, "Bazinga!" Yeah, he was having a good night.
Is your name Derek? Like what? How does that correlate?
He was off something. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. All right,
Yeah,
so
he had to have been. Damn.
So we'll put Reservoir Dogs under Come and See. Next week we'll be reviewing the classic Toy Story. No, Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 4 are not on this list, but we will be reviewing the first entry in the series. So stay tuned for that.
Oh yeah. And to everyone watching, please enjoy the rest of your night and peace out.